welcome to our channel, where history hides in your pocket change. If you love coins, treasures, and untold stories, you're in the right place. In the heart of the 1980s, when cassette tapes ruled the airwaves, neon colors lit the streets, and the glow of arcade machines lit up the faces of every kid in town, an unsuspecting little coin quietly entered circulation. It bore the familiar face of Thomas Jefferson, steadfast and composed, framed by the classical columns of Monticello on its reverse. The 1985 USA 5-cent coin, commonly known as the Jefferson nickel, was not expected to be remarkable. It was struck in vast quantities at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and like so many coins of its era, it was meant to pass quietly through the fingers of Americans with barely a second glance. And yet, in the hands of numismatists and collectors, it would eventually prove to be a revelation. Most Americans in 1985 never paused to inspect this nickel beyond its immediate utility. Tossed into vending machines, dropped into coin jars, or slipped into pockets with little regard, the 1985 5-cent piece lived an unglamorous life. But among the hundreds of millions minted, a select few would take a vastly different journey, one that led them under the bright lights of auction houses and into the pages of rare coin catalogs. And in that journey, their true worth would be unveiled. It wasn't until decades later, after the coin had quietly aged in drawers and jars, that collectors began to whisper about the 1985 nickel in reverent tones. A handful of specimens, nearly flawless, shimmering with uncirculated brilliance, began to command attention. It started at local coin shows, then escalated into regional expos, and before long, the major auction houses themselves took notice. The buzz turned into bidding wars. The first major signal came from an auction in Chicago. A 1985 P. Jefferson nickel, graded MS-67 with full steps, a designation indicating sharp detail on Monticello's steps, came up for sale. Collectors leaned forward, their eyes wide with anticipation. Bids flew fast. When the final gavel fell, the room exhaled in unison. The price? A stunning $125,000. And it wasn't an outlier. Suddenly, the 1985 nickel became the centerpiece of conversations at every major coin auction. Dealers scoured their inventories. Hobbyists raced to check old rolls and childhood collections. The hunt was on. Coin roll hunters, previously focused on silver or pre-1960s issues, turned their attention to the often overlooked 1980s nickels, hoping to discover one of these treasures. At an online auction later that year, another 1985D example emerged, preserved in pristine condition with full steps, vibrant luster, and untouched by time. It fetched $117,000. The winner, a tech entrepreneur turned numismatist, would later share that the coin reminded him of simpler days when he collected coins with his grandfather. He framed the coin, not in a case or album, but in a shadow box with a photograph of his grandfather, a deeply personal tribute. The market surged. At a high-profile auction in Dallas, a bidding war over a superb gem 1985 nickel pushed the final price into an eye-watering range, between $75,000 and $135,000. These weren't just flukes, they were affirmations of the coin's newfound prestige. And the stories behind each sale made headlines in the numismatic world. Collectors weren't just chasing value, they were chasing history. Auctioneers began to speak of the 1985 nickel with admiration. They described its elusive perfection, the rarity of its immaculate strike, and the sheer demand it inspired. Repeatedly, these coins showed up in premier auction catalogs, each time drawing bidders from around the world. And each time, the final sale reaffirmed its status as a modern classic. The most valuable examples often shared a few key traits: near-flawless surfaces, strong strikes, and the coveted full steps on Monticello. Coins certified by leading grading agencies like PCGS and NGC added legitimacy and weight to the auction proceedings. The sight of a PCGS slab reading, 1985, PMS67FS, became a lightning rod for attention, drawing seasoned collectors and curious newcomers alike. Collectors were not only drawn by rarity but by the stories, the romance of a modern coin defying expectations and commanding a stage typically reserved for ancient silver or gold pieces. And with every auction, new legends were born. Like the retiree in Pennsylvania who discovered his $135,000 nickel while sorting through his late brother's collection. Or the schoolteacher who found one during a weekend coin roll hunt and sold it at auction to pay off her mortgage. One particularly heartwarming tale came from a family in Oregon. Their youngest son had started a coin collection for a school project. As he sifted through a pile of nickels donated by relatives, he found a pristine 1985 D with a gleaming, mirror-like surface. After professional grading confirmed its rare quality, the coin went to auction and fetched $120,000. The proceeds were used to fund his education and establish a scholarship in his name. The auctions continued. Each season, auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections featured the 1985 nickel in their premier events. These appearances weren't just listings, they were events. Bidders watched live streams with bated breath, refresh buttons clutched in anticipation, paddles at the ready. Auctioneers raised their voices over eager crowds. And when a 1985 nickel came to the stage, you could feel the temperature in the room shift. Eyes widened. Bids escalated. History was made, again and again, because in this world, where stories and scarcity collide, even a 5-cent coin can fetch a fortune. The 1985 Jefferson nickel is the shining proof. What was once an everyday coin had transformed. In the context of the auction world, the 1985 USA 5-cent piece had evolved from forgettable to unforgettable. It became a prize not just for its metal content or design, but for its rarity in pristine condition and the fever it incited in the hearts of collectors. Every auction that features it becomes a theater of desire, a celebration of chance, and a tribute to those rare pieces of American change that never truly lose their value. And as long as there are collectors who believe in the magic of small things, the legacy of the 1985 nickel will continue, one gavel strike at a time. In the late 1980s, a time when America found itself at the crossroads of a technological revolution and a shifting cultural identity, a small, unassuming coin quietly entered circulation. It was the 1988 USA 5-cent piece, a Jefferson nickel, like countless others before it, stamped with the stoic profile of the third president and the time-worn dome of Monticello on its reverse. At first glance, it seemed like any other. But beneath the surface of this modest piece of metal lay stories of unexpected worth, passionate hunts, and staggering auction prices that would one day shock the numismatic world. Minted by the millions at both the Philadelphia and Denver facilities, the 1988 nickel was not rare by sheer numbers. It passed through countless hands, buying gum, flipping into fountains, tossed into glove compartments, and forgotten in coffee cans. Yet in the quiet corners of this mass production, something extraordinary happened. A few of these coins, struck with remarkable precision and preserved in near-perfect condition, began to emerge as rare treasures. And where there is rarity, the auction block soon follows. Collectors first took notice in the early 2000s, as high-resolution coin photography and digital cataloging allowed comparisons that had never before been possible. Coin forums buzzed with speculation. Could a modern nickel really reach the heights of pre-war rarities? Then came the first major auction, the turning point. A 1988 D nickel graded MS-67 with full steps appeared in an elite auction hosted by Heritage Auctions. Excitement spread like wildfire. When the gavel came down, the final price read $70,000. It was no longer just speculation, it was history in the making. This event lit the fuse. At coin shows across the country, collectors scrambled to check their nickel rolls. Dealers reviewed their inventories. Every auction from Stack's Bowers to Great Collections began to include a place of honor for the 1988 5-cent coin. Prices began to climb. The sweet spot, coins graded MS-67 or better with full steps, became the gold standard. And in the middle of this fevered hunt, the value of a top specimen was soaring, between $70,000 and $130,000 depending on condition, luster, and strike quality. One legendary auction in Orlando featured a bidding war that lasted nearly 15 minutes, an eternity in the fast-paced world of auctions. The coin in question, a 1988 P nickel, sharp as the day it left the die, with radiant surfaces and flawless steps. Final sale price? $128,000. The room erupted in applause. The buyer, a seasoned collector from New York, later claimed it was the cornerstone of his modern coin collection, but it wasn't just seasoned pros getting in on the action. The 1988 nickel quickly became a darling among newer collectors. Its presence in online auctions surged, often exceeding estimates. Coin dealers at conventions began posting signs, "We pay top dollar for 1988 nickels." More than once, a simple pocket change search yielded coins that ended up in glass display cases under the auctioneer's spotlight. It wasn't just a hunt, it became a movement. Repeatedly, the 1988 5-cent piece found itself at the center of auction house spotlights. It was featured on front covers of catalogs, displayed under high-powered lights, and praised in previews as a sleeper hit turned superstar. Auctioneers recounted stories of heated phone bids, last-second online offers, and bidding battles between international collectors who knew the value hidden in that small nickel alloy disc, and as the reputation of this coin grew, so too did the legends that surrounded it. A retiree in Michigan discovered his nickel while organizing old coin albums, untouched since the 90s. He had it graded, and to his shock, the results placed it in the elite class. Weeks later, at an auction in San Francisco, it brought in $123,000. That single coin paid for his granddaughter's college education. Another tale surfaced from a couple in Arizona. They were hobbyist metal detectorists who found a brilliant 1988 nickel beneath the sands of a long-forgotten desert fairground. After cleaning and certifying it, they placed it up for auction, where it shocked experts by selling for $130,000 to a private international bidder. The discovery was featured in magazines and online news outlets, further cementing the coin's mythical status. With each auction, the 1988 nickel's fame grew. Stories of unexpected discoveries, massive bids, and tearful celebrations added new chapters to its saga. Auctioneers now announce its appearance with flair. Collectors mark their calendars. And every time a pristine 1988 nickel comes up for bid, hearts race, paddles rise, and history repeats itself. These auctions have also contributed to a cultural shift in the way modern coins are viewed. Once disregarded as too new to be valuable, pieces like the 1988 nickel prove that quality, rarity, and provenance can elevate even the humblest of denominations to the status of legendary artifacts. This shift has redefined numismatics for a new generation, one not bound by the traditional focus on ancient or pre-war coins. Auction houses themselves have begun to spotlight modern coinage with unprecedented attention. Dedicated sessions for late 20th century coins are now standard at major events. Auctioneers reference past high-profile 1988 nickel sales as proof of potential. And collectors listen. The potential for another record-breaking sale keeps the energy crackling in every room where a 1988 nickel might appear. Even coin grading services have embraced this cultural change. Special labels, commemorative slabs, and population reports now highlight the uniqueness of high-grade 1988 nickels. This added layer of prestige feeds directly back into the auction circuit, increasing visibility and perceived value. It's a feedback loop of fascination, fueled by every new discovery, every updated record, and every successful bid. Today, the 1988 USA 5-cent piece is no longer just a coin. It is a symbol. A symbol of overlooked beauty, of persistent searching, and of the unrelenting power of auctions to transform something ordinary into something extraordinary. The journey of this coin from everyday pocket change to a multi-thousand-dollar treasure is a testament to the passion of collectors and the magic of the hunt. What began as an ordinary coin, lost in the shuffle of everyday commerce, is now a centerpiece of passion and prestige. The 1988 USA 5-cent piece has defied expectation, becoming a true icon in modern numismatics. And as auctions continue to prove, its legacy, and its value, show no signs of fading. In the bustling mid-1990s, as America danced to the rhythm of a booming economy and the rise of the Internet age, a quiet, seemingly ordinary coin began its journey into the pockets and purses of millions. The 1995 USA 5-cent coin, the classic Jefferson nickel, was minted with the same dignity as always, Thomas Jefferson's stoic profile on the obverse, and his iconic Monticello residence etched into the reverse. But unlike its siblings, a select few of these nickels would break from obscurity and rise to glitter under the auction house lights. The story of the 1995 5-cent coin isn't one of immediate fame. It didn't make headlines upon release, nor did collectors clamor for rolls at local banks. Instead, it lived a quiet life, circulating silently through vending machines, convenience stores, and laundromats. But time would peel back the layers of this modest coin, revealing a hidden rarity few could have predicted. It started at a local coin show in Nevada. A dealer unpacked a small tray of nickels, barely marked, each tucked into plastic flips. Among them was a 1995 5-cent coin that shimmered under the light in a way that set it apart. A seasoned collector spotted it, his trained eyes catching the deep strike, full steps on Monticello, and a near-flawless surface. He submitted it to a grading service. Weeks later, it returned graded MS-67 with full steps. Its journey to the auction block had begun. The coin was listed with modest expectations. But at the auction, something remarkable happened. Bidders recognized its rarity. The condition, the detail, the luster, it was a perfect storm of numismatic desirability. The final bid soared to $62,000, stunning even the auctioneer. It was the first in a series of shocking revelations about this unsuspecting coin. Word spread quickly. Coin forums lit up with chatter. Collectors rushed to examine their 1995 nickels, hoping to find another diamond in the rough. More and more high-grade examples began to emerge, but still in small numbers. It became clear, this wasn't just a fluke. The 1995 nickel had secrets. Auctions became the proving ground. In Baltimore, a Stack's Bowers auction saw another 1995 nickel fetch $84,000. The grading? MS-67+, again with flawless full steps. In Chicago, Heritage Auctions highlighted a 1995 P coin with deep mirror-like fields, which ultimately sold for $95,000. Bidding wars became routine, as seasoned collectors and new entrants alike pursued the dream of holding one of these elusive gems. At the center of these growing waves of excitement was one undeniable fact: the value of the 1995 USA 5-cent coin in pristine condition now ranged between $62,000 and $110,000. A coin once worth a mere 5 cents had become a prize, a symbol of numismatic glory, and a frequent highlight at major auctions. Collectors began attending shows specifically in search of this nickel. Stories of finds in old coin jars and forgotten dresser drawers filled blogs and social media pages. One retired teacher in Ohio found a high-grade 1995 nickel while helping her grandson with a coin collection. After certification, the coin was auctioned for $103,000. The story made headlines in her local newspaper, turning her into a hometown celebrity. The coin's fame continued to grow. Auction catalogs began spotlighting the 1995 nickel on their covers. Online auction platforms promoted upcoming sales with countdowns and teaser videos. Every few months, a new record was set or nearly matched. Coin dealers raised their buy prices, hoping to catch the next treasure before it hit the open market, and the auctions didn't stop. In Las Vegas, one of the most glamorous venues in numismatics hosted a dazzling showcase. A 1995 D nickel, pristine and sharp as the day it was struck, commanded a crowd of bidders and culminated in a final sale of $110,000. The moment was immortalized in photos and collector newsletters, reinforcing the coin's now legendary status. The repeated success of the 1995 nickel at auction has made it a modern icon in American coinage. It's a story that blends patience, precision, and a bit of magic, the kind of magic that can transform the everyday into the extraordinary. And it reminds collectors everywhere that true treasures are still out there, sometimes in the most unlikely of places, waiting to be discovered and celebrated on the grandest stages of all, the auction house. As the world prepared to cross the threshold into a new millennium, the United States Mint quietly continued its daily rhythm, striking coin after coin to keep America's commerce humming. Among the millions produced in the year 2000, one denomination in particular, the 5-cent piece, seemed destined for anonymity. The Jefferson nickel, unchanged in appearance since 1938, showed no signs of being anything more than everyday currency. Yet history would prove otherwise for a handful of extraordinary 2000 USA 5-cent coins. It all began with a routine submission to a third-party grading service. A collector from Pennsylvania, casually sifting through a bag of mixed change purchased at a flea market, found a 2000 D nickel that glinted just a little brighter than the rest. The luster was exceptional. Under magnification, every detail of Monticello was crisp, the steps unbroken and flawless. Intrigued, the collector submitted it for grading, and the result came back MS-68 with full steps. What followed would alter the coin's destiny forever. The first auction was modest in publicity but explosive in result. Hosted in an Arizona convention center, a local auctioneer listed the coin with an opening estimate of $5,000. Collectors in the room leaned forward. The bidding started slow, but within moments, a frenzy took hold. In just 7 minutes, the final gavel fell, $60,000. Shock swept the room. The story of the 2005-cent coin had officially begun. That auction lit a fire. News traveled fast through numismatic circles. Online forums, collector magazines, and YouTube channels buzzed with excitement. Was this a one-off miracle or the tip of an iceberg? Enthusiasts raced to check their own change jars. Dealers began hoarding rolls of 2,000 nickels, hoping to find lightning in a coin tube. At auction houses across the country, 2005-cent coins started appearing with greater frequency, each one generating intense bidding wars and escalating sale prices. Then came the auction in Dallas, a major event hosted by Heritage Auctions. A second specimen surfaced, also from the Denver Mint, and also with impeccable full steps and mirror-like surfaces. This coin, certified MS68+, shattered expectations again by selling for $84,000. The crowd erupted in applause. Whispers turned to proclamations. The 2005-cent coin was no longer a sleeper, it was a superstar. Auction after auction, the legend grew. In Philadelphia, a 2000p nickel was unveiled during a live auction hosted by Stax Bowers. With its frosted devices and proof-like fields, the coin's beauty was undeniable. Bidders competed from across the country, and when the dust settled, the final price was a jaw-dropping $103,000. Veteran numismatists began to take note. Auction houses began featuring the 2000 nickel prominently in their catalogs. Auction previews devoted entire pages to these coins, detailing die characteristics, strike quality, and provenance. At Sotheby's auction in New York, a 2000p nickel, one of only 3 known in such pristine condition, fetched a hammer price of $105,000. It was a moment that cemented this once ordinary coin into the annals of modern numismatic royalty. At the midpoint of this incredible journey, one thing was certain: the 2000 USA 5-cent coin in gem condition had a value ranging from $60,000 to $105,000. A coin meant to be handed over at a gas station or dropped into a vending machine had become a key to the grand stages of auction halls across the country. Collectors began documenting their hunts. Stories emerged from small towns and big cities alike, accounts of lucky finds in forgotten coin jars, estate sales, and family piggy banks. One Michigan teenager, inspired by a YouTube video about rare nickels, searched his grandfather's coin collection and discovered a specimen that would later sell for $91,000 at auction. It made headlines in both numismatic news and local media. The coin's reputation grew with every auction. In Florida, a seaside auction event hosted a 2000D nickel that sparked a bidding war between 2 phone bidders from Japan and California. The final bid reached $97,000. In Portland, a boutique auction house showcased a deep cameo 2000 nickel, generating fierce online interest before it hammered at $88,000. Repeat mentions of the coin in industry publications and collector podcasts helped stoke demand. Experts debated the reason behind its rarity. Was it a result of a perfect die pair, special planchets, or an unintentional minting anomaly? The mystery added to the allure, giving every new discovery the shimmer of a hidden treasure. In Las Vegas, a premier auction house added a luxurious flair to the story. Under bright lights and before an audience of serious collectors and dealers, a 2000p 5-cent coin sold for $102,000. The moment was captured on video and circulated widely on social media. The room erupted as the final gavel fell, cementing the coin's status as a modern marvel. Meanwhile, documentaries began featuring the coin's surprising journey. One segment aired on a major financial network showcased interviews with collectors who had struck gold, literally, with a nickel. Auctions featuring the 2000 nickel now drew international audiences, with phone and online bidders from Asia, Europe, and South America. A retired Navy veteran in Maine discovered a coin in his collection that would sell for $95,000 during a patriotic-themed auction event held on the 4th of July. The American flag hung proudly over the auction floor as the gavel struck and bidders stood to applaud. Collectors continued to report sightings and submissions, though none had yet to dethrone the record setters. Each new auction added a new layer to the lore, a new chapter in an already captivating tale. As experts combed through die varieties and mint records, they discovered subtle indicators that helped predict which nickels had the potential to reach top dollar. tiny die polish lines, minting pressure anomalies, and more. Today, the legend of the 2000 USA 5-cent coin continues to captivate. Its journey from loose change to auction stardom is a powerful reminder of the hidden stories lying dormant in our everyday lives. In pockets and drawers, in jars and rolls, there may still be undiscovered treasures, quietly waiting to shine in the auction spotlight. In the quiet corners of everyday life, where pocket change is often ignored and nickels slide unnoticed across countertops, the story of the 2003 USA 5-cent coin emerges as an unexpected tale of numismatic brilliance. To most, it was merely another Jefferson nickel, worn, ordinary, and destined for soda machines or laundry runs. But to those with a trained eye, 2003 offered a hidden gem, one that would soon shine bright in the high-stakes world of coin auctions. The journey began not in a grand showroom, but in the modest living room of a retired schoolteacher in Ohio. Sorting through an inherited box of coins, he stumbled upon a nickel so pristine, it seemed untouched by time. Every line on Jefferson's profile was sharply defined, the Monticello reverse glimmered with icy precision. Curiosity piqued, he submitted the coin for grading. When the results came back, MS-68 with full steps, it wasn't just a pleasant surprise, it was a revelation. That same coin would go on to become the centerpiece of a major auction in Chicago. Word of its condition spread quickly among collectors and dealers. The auction house, known for its exclusive events, promoted the coin as the Millennium Mint Marvel. As the bidding commenced, hands raised rapidly. Phone lines buzzed. In just under 10 minutes, the coin sold for an astonishing $58,000, marking the beginning of the 2003 nickel's ascent. News of the sale reached every corner of the numismatic world. Coin shows buzzed with speculation. Was this a fluke or the start of something bigger? Within months, more examples surfaced, each more immaculate than the last. Collectors who had long overlooked the 2003 issue began combing through rolls and old stashes, hoping to find another auction-worthy specimen. At an auction held in Boston's historic district, another 2003 nickel stunned onlookers. With mirrored fields and razor-sharp relief, it fetched $72,000 after a dramatic showdown between two international collectors. This sale solidified what many were beginning to suspect: the 2003 5-cent coin was more than just pocket change. It was an auction darling. Then came the event that sent ripples across the collecting community. In New York City, under the chandeliers of a renowned auction house, a 2003 D nickel, verified at MS-68+, was presented as the highlight of the evening. Bidders from Germany, Japan, and the United States competed furiously. When the gavel finally dropped, the winning bid stood at a breathtaking $102,000. The room erupted in applause. Collectors knew they had witnessed history. By the midpoint of its rise to fame, the 2003 USA 5-cent coin had earned a reputation that few modern coins could match. Its value, firmly set between $58,000 and $102,000, was now accepted across auction houses and grading forums alike. It was no longer just a coin, it was a symbol of the unexpected treasures lying dormant in everyday America. Auction listings grew increasingly detailed. They spoke of die states, planchet smoothness, and strike clarity. Each coin that appeared on the auction block told a story, one of discovery, preservation, and passionate pursuit. A North Carolina coin club even hosted a special event titled The Year of the 2003 Nickel, showcasing examples from private collections and featuring guest speakers who had participated in the historic auctions. In San Francisco, a boutique auction event celebrated the coin with a themed gala. Attendees received replicas of the famous nickel and toasted with champagne as yet another flawless specimen sold for $94,000. The event made local news, turning casual hobbyists into hopeful hunters. Collectors reported tales of discoveries in desk drawers, piggy banks, and forgotten purses. One woman in Colorado found a near-gem example in a childhood coin album. After authentication and months of anticipation, it sold at auction for $87,000. Her story became a sensation, covered by blogs, magazines, and even a daytime talk show. As more coins surfaced, each auction became a celebration of possibility. Even those who didn't win bids left inspired. The 2003 nickel symbolized a democratic thrill. Anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon one. Every cashier, bus driver, student, or retiree might unknowingly carry a fortune in their pocket. In the end, the 2003 USA 5-cent coin didn't just capture dollars, it captured imaginations. It reminded collectors that modern coins still hold mystery, that the next great find might be waiting in a coin roll or between couch cushions. Auction houses continue to list the coin with pride, knowing its story is far from over. And across the country, the hunt continues.